welcome to Catalan News. Roger Torrent. This is the name of the next likely Catalan Parliament president. The chamber kicks off the new term tomorrow, and for the pro-independence parties, which hold the majority, his name is on the table to lead the institution. But it won't be that easy for them to appoint Torrent, as some elected pro-independence MPs are still in prison or in Belgium. Will they be able to vote by proxy? This will have to be discussed tomorrow, but the issue might end up in the Spanish Constitutional Court. Here at Catalan News, we'll tell you about the run-up to the Parliament's opening session, and we'll also tell you about the latest echoes of the Catalan political situation in the European Union. They will hold the majority of seats in the Parliament, but it's not clear at all whether they will be able to use it tomorrow. This is the situation of the pro-independence forces in the Catalan chamber. The opening session in the Parliament is usually a formality, but tomorrow is set to be yet another tense session. The debate on whether the MPs in Brussels or in prison can vote will certainly make an impact. Roger Torrent will most likely be the other highlight of the day.
This man is in pole position to replace Carme Forcadell as Parliament President from tomorrow. At 38, MP Roger Torrent would be the youngest person to have ever taken up the post. His pro-independence Esquerra Republicana party put him forward as candidate to become the Parliament President in a vote to be held tomorrow. Torrent has been an MP for 5 years and is now set to take up the country's second most important political position. That is as long as the parties for a Catalan state can use their slim majority in the chamber. 8 of their members are either in prison or in Brussels and at risk of arrest and jail if they return to Catalonia. So, with 8 MPs unlikely to attend tomorrow, their parties need them to vote by proxy. But can they do that? The Spanish Supreme Court said it is for the Chamber's Bureau to decide how the jailed MPs might vote by proxy, but made no mention of those in Brussels. Nor are the pro-independence parties the only ones convinced that all of their representatives should be able to vote. Catalonia in Common, which stands between the independence and unionism blocs, thinks similarly.
Tampoc contribuirem a majories que es donen adulterades pel fet que hi hagi gent a la presó. Em sembla que la gent que està a la presó ha de poder delegar el seu vot. A nosaltres ens sembla que és la garantia dels drets polítics que tenen.
Yet a Spanish government source said it will appeal to the Constitutional Court if the Catalan chamber allows the MPs in Brussels to vote by proxy. And Madrid might even challenge a distance vote from the imprisoned MPs, depending on how it is carried out. An interim bureau, formed only to moderate the opening session in the chamber, will find this hot topic on the table when the session kicks off at 11 a.m.
The opening session of the Parliament is only the first step to getting the new term in Catalan politics underway. Appointing a new president and government is next, and this doesn't look straightforward either. With Catalan self-rule suspended for almost 3 months, the next executive has a lot of work to do, and education will be one of the key issues they need to tackle, especially the Catalan university system, as the recent economic crisis and subsequent cuts in public spending are still taking their toll on higher education in the country. In the past few years, public funding on higher education went from 73% to 60% of the total financing of the university system as a result of the ongoing economic crisis. When many countries in Northern and Central Europe decided to invest in universities during the crisis, treating education as an investment in the future, Catalonia took a more austere approach. And despite recent economic growth, the higher education system is still suffering. According to a report, Catalan universities are among the worst publicly funded universities in the whole of Europe, and also among the most expensive. Fees paid by students exceed both the Spanish and European average, surpassed only by tuition fees in the UK. The future government will have its homework cut out for them, and this is one of the key topics under discussion. But the debate on past events is also still going on, not only in Catalonia, but in Europe as well. This on a day in which we learn that the European Parliament office in Barcelona will have to change most of its signs in order to include the Spanish language. The working language of the office has always been Catalan since its creation in 1991. The Chamber's president ordered the change after one Spanish MEP asked him to do so.
The European Parliament office in Barcelona has been ordered to use Spanish on its furniture, in its corporate image, and on every single one of its signs. President Antonio Tajani asked they add Spanish to the so far only Catalan writings. This comes after a Spanish MEP said it was unacceptable and illegal for all signs to be only in Catalan, although it has been the case since the EP office in Barcelona opened in the 90s. Tajani also demanded the European Parliament to prominently state on its website that the main office of the institution in Spain is in Madrid and Barcelona is just a secondary branch. The request has also been sent to the European Commission office, which in fact shares the building with the Parliament. According to the MEP complaint, these two offices cannot be instruments in hands of separatism, thus equating the use of Catalan to the pro-independence movement, something that sources in the institution flatly reject. Catalonia keeps appearing day after day on the Brussels agenda, as today we've also learned that the European Parliament has received around 40 requests by citizens to tackle the political situation, including the violence on referendum day. The Committee on Petitions is now to decide whether to accept it or not. The political situation in Catalonia slipped in today, also in the plenary. The Irish MEP Luke Flanagan accused Estonia, which last semester held the rotating presidency of the Council of the European Union, of forgetting about Catalonia.
I'm a little bit disappointed, in fact very disappointed, because something massive happened during your presidency and a nation did attempt to get free. Catalonia attempted to get free. They had a referendum, but you made a very glib statement on it. Spain is a democratic state based on the rule of law. Where was the rule of law when people were being beaten up at polling stations? Where was the rule of law when people were bloodied, when people were denied their democratic right?
Meanwhile, Vice President of the European Commission, Frans Timmermans, defended the rule of law and separation of powers in Spain. Referring to Catalan officials, he said that those who violate the law have to face the consequences.
Prices rise while wages stay the same. This is what a report by a business school and consultancy presented today concludes. After years of economic crisis, Catalonia has been enjoying increased economic growth since 2014. Good news for some people, but not for the majority of employees within the country. In fact, despite growing GDP in the country over the last 3 years, the average annual wage has remained mostly unchanged. All this as prices continue to rise in many sectors, especially housing. The average gross annual salary in Catalonia stands at just over €23,000, but even bosses have seen little change in their pay packets. Only middle managers have reaped the benefits of the recent economic growth. As inflation is above 1%, stagnant salaries mean purchasing power has been lost throughout all professional categories except middle management. Now we have a suggestion precisely for those feeling the pinch after Christmas, with little left to spend for leisure. The northern Catalan city of Girona has an initiative designed to boost business in the hospitality industry, especially during the low season. Called Girona Ten, it offers a chance to spend the night in one of the city's many fine lodgings or a meal out for as little as €10 per person. The Girona Cathedral, which in its interior has the widest Gothic nave in the world, is just one of the sights one can see in the city. For people fortunate enough to be selected in the contest for a cheap night in a hotel or fine dining in a restaurant, for example. Inscriptions for the 7th edition of Girona Ten open today, but this year there is a difference. There is the chance to win a night in certain hotels without even having to pay a thing. And this time round, even theatres and music events are getting involved. But if food takes your fancy, there is no need to enter the competition. One can simply call participating restaurants and reserve a table for your €10 a head full menu meal. Perhaps after that, a little stroll through the city's old quarter will be in order to work off those extra calories. In other news, today we learned about an agreement that will make life a bit easier for patients of public retirement homes and those who care for them in Catalonia. There are 17 public old people's homes in the country, and starting this year, these facilities will share their residents' medical history with the Catalan Health Department. Through a common platform, healthcare professionals will be able to access medical history, including such vital information as, for example, current prescriptions. This will avoid extra paperwork and streamline procedures and make referrals to urgent care more efficient, including discerning when this is not necessary. Such methods are becoming increasingly necessary as the average age of the elderly in homes is going up, reaching 85.1 in 2015, as is the level of care needed. While this measure will only affect public institutions for now, if it's successful, it could become a tool for private ones as well. Let's move on to culture now. The touristy seaside town of Sitges is celebrating the centennial of one of its most iconic landmarks, the Maricel Palace. It reigns over the whole town with its privileged position in the Old Quarter, and for years it's been home to a museum. Today, a big exhibition on the site was presented, as well as the beginning of refurbishment works for the building, the release of a book, the launch of some new guided routes throughout the complex, and other initiatives will round off the celebrations of its 100th anniversary. Earlier we mentioned restaurants in Girona. In fact, food is an important part of Catalan culture. Always a good excuse for meeting with friends or family. Making arrangements is often based around food, and eating out is many people's favourite pastime, as well as cooking at home. We leave you now with images of a recent cookery course by the chef of one of Barcelona's better restaurants, the restaurant Sergi de Meia, scoring nearly full marks on restaurant guides. Have a look at what's on the menu. Enjoy, and see you tomorrow.